Hello, I'm from Bromley Wise School Wellbeing Service, and I want to talk to you today about your emotional well-being. We know that you're all worried about how the students are going to cope with coming back to school, and they're your focus, but staff well-being really is every bit as important as student well-being. If you're not looking after yourself, how are you going to look after the students? In order to understand how your well-being is impacted at work, it's useful to understand the three main components at play. So today we're going to talk about stress, burnout, and resilience. Stress is the mental and physical response that occurs when we feel overwhelmed by the demands placed on us and find it difficult to cope. A healthy level of stress can be good, as it motivates us and it results in a sense of achievement. However, too much stress can lead to bigger problems. When we experience too much stress for prolonged periods of time, this leads to a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion that we call burnout. This means that when stress chips away at us, we can actually lose the drive to keep going, particularly at work. Resilience is what we use to cope with life stresses and bounce back from major challenges. Therefore, having improved resilience can help us manage our stress so that it doesn't lead to burnout. With this in mind, our aims for today are to support you with building your resilience by suggesting practical strategies to take care of physical and emotional health, to help you to recognize the warning signs of burnout so that you know when to take action, and to help you to reverse the damage of stress and burnout by providing self-help resources and links to services that can offer support. When thinking about our emotional well-being in relation to our stress levels, it can be helpful to think about our own personal window of tolerance. Our window of tolerance refers to how much we can handle emotionally before shutting down or blowing up. If we have too little stress, we can shut down. We begin to feel demotivated, bored, and lacking creativity. If we have too much stress, we can start to burn out. You might feel irritable, exhausted, and physically run down. In between these two extremes, there is a sweet spot, a window where you have just the right amount of stress to keep you feeling stimulated and stop you from getting bored, but not so much that you feel unable to cope with the demands placed on you. Everybody's window of tolerance is different, and it's important to identify the stress levels that you are comfortable with rather than comparing yourself to others. Your window of tolerance can change from day to day and even fluctuate throughout the day. For example, if you've had a particularly stressful morning or just a really awful meeting, it's normal in times of heightened stress for this window of tolerance to become smaller. You may notice that with recent world events such as COVID-19, the lockdown, working from home, the death of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, that your window of tolerance has got a lot smaller over the past few months. Now add to that the pressure of returning to work in such uncertain times and feeling the need to make up for missed time with your students. You might find that it's harder to stay inside your window of tolerance and that you're operating at heightened stress levels more often, therefore running the risk of burnout. If you had a healthy window of tolerance before coronavirus, it's normal to feel tears well up much easier than they used to, or to just want to check out. And if your window of tolerance was already a little smaller, you may be noticing even less flexibility. That's okay. Rather than trying to force yourself to act like everything's fine when it isn't, give yourself permission to ask for what you need in order to stay healthy, like taking a short break or parking a difficult conversation until you've had a chance to think about your response. Often, just accepting that you aren't okay all the time can give us the breathing space that we need to get back to being okay again. And just as our window of tolerance can shrink during times of stress, there are things that we can do to help boost our resilience and therefore expand our window of tolerance, help us remain in an area of optimal performance where we're avoiding shutdown and burnout and we're thriving. I now want you to take a minute just to think about your own window of tolerance. Do you know how much stress is manageable for you? And is there anything that you do which helps you to stay in this window? Now, although we can't remove the external stressors, we can recommend some tips to help you build resilience and therefore expand your window of tolerance. It's important to mention that this is just a whistle-stop tour of some evidence-based strategies, but these will each be linked to some more in-depth self-help resources, and a toolkit has been sent to the mental health lead in your school so that you can practice building your own resilience at a time that suits you. Tip 1 is to practice self-care. So self-care means making time to do the things that help you relax, have fun, or feel energized. Well, this may seem obvious, and we know it's a lot easier said than done. In times of stress, the first things to go are usually those things that we love to do, which, funnily enough, are the things that make us most resilient. So it's really not important what the things you like to do are. The important thing is that you do them. To help you think about how frequently or how well you're practicing self-care, you can use a self-care assessment checklist, like the one in your toolkit. And this way you can spot any patterns, recognize any areas of your life that need a little bit more attention, and help you to prioritize the things that you love to do and give yourself a little bit of TLC. Tip 2 is to prioritize your social support. Social support may come from friends, family, or community organizations, and nurturing these relationships has been harder than ever during lockdown. But it's never been more important to make time for them. Talking to someone close to us in times of stress really can make all the difference. So please do prioritize your social support. Tip 3 is to gain some perspective. So sometimes our own negative thinking patterns can make a difficult situation even more stressful by reinforcing the belief that we won't be able to cope with it. It can really help to try and reframe some of those unhelpful thinking patterns that we have and break that negative thought cycle. Now, here's a quick video which outlines how we can do that and how we can try and break the cycle.
Our thoughts, feelings, and behaviours continually affect each other, and it's easy to develop negative patterns where unhelpful thoughts lead to unhelpful feelings and actions. Sometimes this can become a vicious cycle. Many of us don't realise that we can influence this process and that this can improve our mental health. The best way to deal with these unhelpful thoughts is to recognise them, challenge them, and see if you can replace them. Some people call this the catch it, check it, change it approach. With practice, this can help us look at perceived problems from a different perspective. For example, you might be worried about an important task you have to do at work, convinced it will go wrong and everyone will think you're a failure. Rather than immediately accepting this thought and feeling even worse, take a moment to catch it and check it. Ask yourself whether there's good evidence for it, or if there are other explanations. Try thinking about what you would say to a friend who was thinking this way. Finally, see if you can change the thought for a more positive one. Maybe, I'm prepared, I've put a lot of work in, and I'm going to do my best. Sometimes you will be able to change the thought to a positive one, but don't worry when at other times you can't. There are no right or wrong answers. It's about learning to think more flexibly and be more in control. By catching the thought, checking it, and seeing if you can change it, with practice, you can help break the negative cycle.
So, using the ideas suggested in the video, we can adopt a more positive mental attitude. So by using these 3 really quite simple steps like using positive language, focusing on the present, and accepting that things won't always be perfect, we can keep focused on the here and now and the things that we are in control of, rather than focusing on the external stressors which are out of our control. Another way to regain control over our thinking is to use problem solving. So often stress is worsened by excessive worrying. I'm sure you've all laid awake at night worrying about having too much to do the next day, and then found that the next day it's really difficult to be productive because you're so tired, because you were awake all night worrying about how much you have to do today. Instead, something that can help is using problem solving to identify all of the possible solutions to a problem, picking the best solution, and making a plan to carry it out. It won't always work straight away, but what it will do is allow you time to rest, recover, and regain control over a situation that fell out of your control. Tip 4 is to pay attention to areas or events in our lives that we are grateful for. Evidence has shown that an act of appreciation or kindness produces positive emotions, stronger social connections, and improved well-being. So consider some simple ways that you can build gratitude and kindness into your day. To get started, you can try each night recalling 3 good things that have happened during the day. And to make it easy to keep track, you can check out the gratitude journal in your toolkit. If you're not sure where to start with this, you can try these steps. So drawing up a list of all the things that you love about your job for regular review and reflection. Noting down and keeping messages of gratitude from students and colleagues. Keeping a positivity box or journal and recording the happy moments from your classroom and from the school day. And creating a positive mantra for yourself for those days when you really feel like you just can't do it anymore. Tip 5 is to use relaxation strategies. Relaxation techniques are a great way to help with stress management. Relaxation isn't only about peace of mind, enjoying a hobby, or just chilling out in front of the TV. Relaxation is a process that decreases the effects of stress on your mind and body. And relaxation techniques can help you to cope with everyday stress and with stress related to various health problems such as heart disease and chronic pain. Whether your stress is spiraling out of control or you think you've already got it tamed, you can benefit from learning relaxation techniques. And learning basic relaxation techniques is easy. They're often free or low cost, they're low risk, and they can be done nearly anywhere. One example of a relaxation technique is progressive muscle relaxation. The steps on this slide are a basic walkthrough of how you can help ease some of the physical tension that comes with stress. It can be especially useful for those days when you feel like you haven't stopped at all and you notice that your muscles feel really stiff. This is a fairly long muscle relaxation, but you can do quicker, shortened versions for the days when you just can't find the time. There are a lot of benefits for relaxation techniques. It slows your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, even improves your digestion. It lowers fatigue, improves your quality of sleep, and improves your concentration and mood. What people often say to us is that learning the techniques isn't difficult. The difficult thing is implementing them and finding the time for regular practice to truly harness the stress relieving power of relaxation techniques. So try setting aside 10 to 20 minutes a day for relaxation practice. If possible, try and schedule a time once or twice a day for your practice. If your schedule is already packed, Try doing a bit of meditation while commuting on the bus or the train, taking a yoga or a Tai Chi break at lunchtime, or even just practicing mindfulness while walking your dog. Make use of smartphone apps and other relaxation aids. Many people find that smartphone apps or audio downloads can be useful in guiding them through different relaxation practices, establishing a regular routine and keeping track of progress. Expect some ups and downs. Sometimes it can take time and practice to start reaping the full rewards of relaxation techniques like meditation. But the more you stick with it, the sooner the results will come. If you skip a few days or even a few weeks, don't get discouraged. Just start again and slowly build back up to your old momentum. Now, as I said, that really was a whistle-stop tour of some self-help strategies. What I want you to do now is just take a moment to reflect on what you do when you're feeling too stressed. Do you put any of these 5 tips into action, or are there other things that you do to improve your emotional well-being? Or is there anything that you would like to do differently moving forward? Okay, so we've talked through some of the strategies that you could use to boost resilience and improve your emotional well-being. Another step, which is really important, is restoring a work-life balance. I know this isn't always easy, particularly in a job as stressful as yours and at times as stressful as these. But where possible, try to work smarter. Much easier said than done, but ask yourself, does this really need to be done right now, or can it wait until tomorrow? Education staff are so used to going above and beyond, and that's brilliant. But sitting on your laptop until 10 every night isn't going to help you in the long run. So see if you can eliminate or reschedule some of those non-urgent tasks. Engaging with your colleagues. So what I mean by this is you often spend more time with your work colleagues than you do with your own family. So find the opportunity to have fun and have a laugh with them. It's important to have close relationships at work, not only to help with job satisfaction, but your general well-being. Give yourself a break. Schedule in some time for you, whether it's trying out one of those relaxation techniques, enjoying a favorite hobby, or just booking in time to do absolutely nothing. Make sure you get a chance to chill out. Invest in your development. Ask your manager about that training course you've been looking at. Nobody likes feeling like they're looking at a dead end. So try to prioritize your own development so that you have opportunities to look forward to. And celebrate your success. It's really easy to focus on the things that go wrong, but you have a lot of little wins every single day. So make sure you acknowledge them. Give yourself and your colleagues the credit you deserve. So we've spoken about what you can do to help reduce your stress. Now we're going to see if you know when your stress has become chronic and when you're experiencing signs of burnout by talking through some of the warning signs. So, do you drag yourself to work? Do you feel cynical or impatient with people at work? Are you lacking fulfillment in your job, losing motivation and creativity, just feeling exhausted? Maybe you're eating or sleeping badly. Or do you have any unexplained physical symptoms like headaches that just don't go away or a stomach ache at the same time every morning? If this sounds like you, then it could be a sign that you're finding it difficult to manage your current stress levels and you might be starting to suffer from burnout. So take a minute just to think to yourself about how many of these warning signs apply to you. If there's anything that you would like to change and what you could do to change it. In order to reverse the damage of burnout, you can try some of the strategies that we've already spoken about and other strategies that are in your toolkit. But it's also important to reach out, whether this is to friends, family, colleagues, or other support services. We at the School Wellbeing Service are here to help you as well as your students. If you feel like you would like some support in managing your emotional well-being, then you can contact us for some advice, support, or some signposting. You can ask the mental health lead in your school for the contact details of your school's wellbeing practitioner, or if you'd rather, you can contact us directly using the email addresses provided here and in your toolkit. There are also other services that can help. Talk Together Bromley offer free one-to-one and group talking therapies for people with a Bromley GP. The Education Support Partnership provide free mental health and wellbeing support to all education staff. And the Headspace self-help app is free to access for all school staff. We'd now like to ask for your help. If you could give us some feedback on this presentation, that would be really helpful for us to understand what was good about this workshop and what could maybe be improved. So there's a QR code on the screen now and a link to a SurveyMonkey survey. If I could ask you to complete that survey and just give us some feedback, that would be really helpful, please. Thank you for listening to me. The past few months have been really difficult for everybody, especially teachers. So give yourself some credit for making it through these challenges in one piece. It's important to remember that you are not alone. And by noticing when you're beginning to struggle and making time to look after yourself and asking others for help when needed, you will make it through this next challenge too.